Hi, Omega Khaos here, and I'm back pretty much. So finally I'm showing my real life Rank-Up Heraldic Beast deck. So I have been testing this deck for a really long time online, of course before the World Superstar set was released. Have been waiting for the new support for so long. I did play this deck even before the new support was released, but I kind of dropped it because I realized the support was not going to come out for a long time. But now this deck is back, and pretty much forever, I think. So I have been testing this on Dev Pro lately as well, on Rated, and I have been doing fairly well, even against many of the meta decks, although of course Shadows and Burning Abyss are still pretty bad matchups for me. So I guess let's go at this deck. Again, sorry about the shaky camera. I can't really do much about it because I don't have a tripod. So first, the monsters. 3, Heraldic Beast Leo, of course, the key card. The key searcher, you want to abuse this card's effect as much as possible. It's a 2 attack beater, but destroys itself in the end phase. You will normal summon it, but still a really good card. Then triple Heraldic Beast of a Conway. It's a pretty decent card, 1800 attack beater. And when you have 2 of these in your graveyard, you can banish one of them to get one of your Heraldic Beast monsters from a graveyard back to your hand. So good to recycle your monsters. And it's also a wind attribute, so it's very good for long Chichitori plays, which this deck can summon pretty easily. So overall, definitely a really good card in this deck. Then a new addition, of course, the OCG Premier card, Heraldic Beast Amphispiana, and now of course came to TC with the World Superstar set. So a very essential card for this deck, of course. Another wind attribute Heraldic Beast monster. It can spell summon itself when you discard a Heraldic Beast monster from your hand, and it has another effect that is not really that relevant, but can become useful at times. You discard Heraldic Beast, this card gains 800 attack then, so you can get over something like Winda, which is a big problem for this deck. So yeah, and of course it's good that we have now a Heraldic Beast monster that can spell summon itself. You have to discard, but when you have a Heraldic Beast Leo, it's not really that much of a minus. So yeah, definitely a really good card, and definitely necessary addition to this deck. Then one Heraldic Beast Twin-Head Eagle. It's pretty decent card as well, wind attribute as well, which can just give your Xyz monster Xyz Mateas when you don't have any. So yeah, it's definitely not bad. And of course, Line Shitori plays as well with this card. And 2 Heraldic Beast Unicorn. Pretty much the first one, your Heraldic Patriarch or Chaos 69 from the graveyard. I did run 3 of this card for a really long time online, but I kinda kept opening it in multiples in my opening hand, so in the hand it doesn't really do anything without the rank 4 enabler. So I think dropping it to 2 is the best choice, but I still would run at least 2 because this card is just too good to get your playing Patriarch from the graveyard or Chaos 69. So yeah, some only run 1, but I think that's a mistake, because it is one of the primary targets you want to send with Patriarch. So yeah. Then other monsters, your rank 4 enablers, because like I said, Heraldic Beast doesn't have any monster can spell summon themselves aside from Amphispiana, so you need something to help with Xyz summoning. So a triple card, of course, a really good card in this deck, searchable with King of Imps, so yeah, it's pretty good. Then I run a small heroic engine because this helps deck quite a lot as well. So triple heroic channel assault halberd. It has Cyber Dragon effect as well as inflict piercing damage, and if you inflict battle damage with this card, you can search for any heroic card. And it's 1800 attack beat as well. So it's definitely a really good card in this deck to make rank 4s, and can get your advantage itself as well. So definitely really good card in this deck. And finally the last monster, one who exchanges 1000 plays. Of course works search it out with Assault Halberd, and you can revive it from the graveyard when you get battle damage, so definitely not a bad card. So that was all the monsters. Now let's see the spell cards. First, Rank-Up Magic, the 7th one, of course the most powerful Rank-Up Magic ever. Too bad I only have really one monster I can summon with this card, which is Khaos 101, but I don't really have anything else I can really use in this deck, so yeah, definitely. And of course, if I throw it in my opening hand or something else happens, I just discard it to rank up my Utopia to number 99 Utopic Dragon, so it's definitely not bad. Then of course, 3 Rank Magic Limited Variants Force, pretty much the best Rank Magic for this deck. You can just easily rank up your Patriarch to Khaos 106 or Khaos 169, so definitely a really good card. Then of course the best spell card in this deck, Advanced Heraldic, the 1 card, rank 4 Xyz, and didn't even use the normal summon. It's just revive 2 Heraldic Beast monsters from the graveyard, and then you just immediately Xyz summon your Xyz monster using those 2 monsters. So really powerful card. Then 2 Herald Reborn, just revive any Heraldic Beast monster from the graveyard. Pretty good card, but I'm not that sure about this card. It's definitely really good, but it doesn't really give you enough advantage. So I might drop it in the future, but for now it definitely works pretty fine. And finally the last spell is one Dark Hole. Of course I don't have Raigeki, unfortunately, because it's way too expensive, like $15 at least. So Dark Hole works for now, and I might even run more of Dark Hole in the future. So that was the spells. Now the traps. First 2 Mind Over Matter. It's really good in this deck because of course number 18 Heraldic Patriarch, which of course with Mind Over Matter you tribute the Psych type monster, and then you can pretty much negate anything, basically Swarm Judgment effect, but of course it doesn't negate monster effects unfortunately. So you can just tribute your Patriarch and get this effect off, and you can just constantly revive your Patriarch with Unicorn as well, so you almost always have a Psych type monster to tribute for this card. But I dropped this to 2 as well because it can become a little bit dead if you can't make it your Xyz summon. Then of course Solemn Warning, of course a really powerful card. Manage Emptiness, which I also now run, because it's of course very powerful to lock down your opponent, especially in Necros decks and all that, so it's definitely now a staple now that it's at 1. Then Compulsive Evocation Device, of course. Ring of Destruction that came back of course from the ban list with its a new text. I'm kinda unsure about this card, but it's definitely a pretty good chainable removal, a burn damage, only that I don't really want to take damage myself, because I tend to take some damage early in the duel, so later in the duel this card can become pretty dead. Then Bottom Step Hole, of course. Torsion Tribute, of course, pretty good. Mirror Force, and finally 2 Phase Chain for of course monster effect negation. So that was the main deck. So now let's see the extra deck. First the Khaos numbers. Khaos 69 Heraldic Ghost of Horror. You can either summon it with limited Variance Force, of course. 4,000 attack Peter, and when your opponent attacks, you just destroy all your opponent's cards. Of course, your opponent is probably not going to be dumb enough to attack when this card is on the field, but it can happen sometimes, lol. So yeah, it's pretty good, I think. Of course, you can revive with a Unicorn and all that. You're mostly not going to use the second effect when you use number 69, because of course I don't run the regular 69 in here because it's not really necessary, and you can't really summon 3 Matea or rank 4s in this deck easily. And of course my favorite Xyz monster, Khaos 101, Sound of Dark, and I think it's still pretty much the most powerful Khaos number. Then Khaos 106, Chant Red Hand, is very good in this deck because you rank up your number 18 Heraldic Patriarch to this card, and then you're pretty much guaranteed to get the Patriarch's effect off, because yeah, even if this card is removed, then of course it can negate all the cards on the field once per turn when your opponent or anyone activates something. It's a monotone effect. This still can be a really powerful card in this deck and can win you a lot of games. When I get this card out, I'm mostly going to win. Then number 99, Utopic Dragon. Justify death throw my the 7th one, but it's a really powerful card as well. Force an attack beater and negates any monster effects that targeted like Castle, 1-1, Dark Rebellion and all that. And can revive number monster from the graveyard in defense position, but if its effects negated, although of course I haven't really used that effect at all. Then one number 8, the King Genome Heritage, pretty good card. It's the only non-generic monster in here aside from like Langishitori. You can just negate your opponent's Xyz monster effects, and then you copy them and its name and all that. So pretty decent card, but I'm not sure if I will keep it once I get the more essential Xyz monster like Exeter Knight and Castle. Then of course the key Xyz monster, and of course another Osage premier card previously and came out in World Superstars, probably the most essential Xyz monster in this deck, number 18 Heraldic Patriarch. I'm not sure why they changed the name that way, because it's not really a heraldic card in the OCG. So basically it's a generic rank 4, 2200 attack. Its first effect is not really that relevant. You can just, if there are 2 monsters with the same name on the field, you can just destroy one of them. So, but it can be helpful at times. But its second effect is where it really matters. When it's sent to the graveyard, or if, I mean, because it doesn't miss the timing, you just send 2 Hercules monsters from a deck to the graveyard. So you can easily set up your graveyard, send your Leos and Unicorns to the graveyard, and just keep reviving it with Unicorn and all that. So definitely very essential card, probably the most needed card for this deck. Then number 14, Utopia, of course pretty good. Just rank up it to number 99, or just negate your opponent's attacks. Then 2, number 101 Sound of Arc. You might wonder why I run 2 101 instead of running Castle. Well, I don't have Castle, and I kinda bought the second 101 for my future Shark deck, but I think I can run 2 101 in this deck easily as well, because I don't have Castle currently, but I will get it once it gets reprinted in the Megatins, of course, which come out in fall. So for now 2 101 works fine. Then Vine Langishitori, you can easily summon in this deck, and very powerful card. Then Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, of course one of my favorite Xyz monsters and works very well. Then Kingdom of Fair Nymphs, of course search the card Doge. Then one Abyss Dweller, of course lock down your opponent's graveyard effects. It definitely works well against many decks that are graveyard reliant. And finally Cowboy. So that was the X deck. This was my real life Rank-Up Heraldic Beast deck. It's definitely one of my favorite decks currently, and looking forward to using it in this week's tournament. I will go to my locals in the capital of Estonia, Tallinn, so I hope I can win with this deck, because I think this deck has massive potential to do pretty well even in the competitive scene, if you find the right build and if the player is right that of course plays it. So yeah, it was a pretty long video at this time, sorry about that, but I probably needed to explain everything I needed to, so you can understand how this deck really works. So I hope you enjoyed this real life deck profile. For now, goodbye and Omar Khaos out.